Hey folks, I'll say hello for a minute. It's been a few days and it goes like that, like I've said here. I'll be in a flow and then I'll get to a point where I don't feel like saying anything and then I'll try to pick it back up. So hello, it is Wednesday, the 11th of April. A quick hello to Carm, Michael, I think you're in Germany, Keith, who says hello, and hello everyone. I have not received any records recently, and I will share this. I have my new friend Hugo, who runs a gallery out of his art gallery out of his townhome apartment, has now gotten bitten by the bug of records since he bought a stereo. So I went out a couple times recently to try to help him find records, which was very frustrating because Hugo knows nothing about music, and his idea of starting a collection is to buy the 250 albums that are listed as the all-time best albums, which I told him is just what a waste. I told him there's so many of those records on that list that all of it was about commerce. They sold a lot of copies. It's not good music. But that's his criteria, and there he goes. But while we were shopping recently, I spied something in the markdowns, and I went ahead and counted out my pennies and bought it. The first record I bought in probably a year or more, but it was reduced price on Prince and Third Eye Girl's album Plectrum Electrum. If they had this marked down, and frankly, when I first spotted it, I was excited because, again, I am a lifelong fan of Prince. Now, when this came out, I wasn't impressed, and I must tell you, I am not impressed. There's a couple songs on here that are okay, but this album mostly, I think, sucks. And the main reason why for me is, for me as a music listener and music lover, it is obvious here that Prince is attempting to make money again, and so he's trying to make something that seems commercially viable. It sounds forced to me. There's some lyrics on here that are embarrassing to me because he's trying to relate to a demographic that he no longer belongs to, which is a youth demographic. There's maybe 2 tracks on here that, I don't remember the titles, okay? But mostly this was really a disappointment, a real disappointment. So that's the most recent record I've actually bought. No one sent me anything recently. I'm supposedly have something coming from New Zealand. We'll see. But I had a great visit with my friend Orinda Fink. She's in the band Closeness. She was in Azure Ray. She's been in a bunch of other bands. But we had a great visit last night. We talked about all kinds of stuff. She just got back from being on tour with her band High Up with her sister and Todd, her husband from The Faint. And we were just able to trade notes about a lot of things. She's a great person, and being a person in the public eye, she herself has dealt with animosity and hatred in recent years. And so we had a good conversation about that. And we're able to give each other some support and clarity about the incoming stuff from other people is a reflection of them, and we must remember that, because no matter how well you do your thing, you're going to have crazy people and people who are full of shit, who won't leave you alone. We talked about that and listened to some good music too. The other thing that we both were able to identify is that some people are so intent on making it, getting your attention, that they'll do almost anything. You mean that much to them. it's a backhanded compliment. She's dealt with a certain amount of stuff, and we talked about it. Some of you people from Omaha know what I'm talking about. She's a great artist. Some of the music we listened to was David Axelrod's Songs of Experience. We talked through this stuff mainly, but I myself enjoyed it as it played in the background. It was a really good backdrop for a lot of our conversation. We talked about a lot of things, including the book The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. If you've never read that book, it is a book that for some of you may be a mind blower. It may really help you. We talked about it, and I reminded Orenda to review the Four Agreements, because the logic and wisdom behind them is really helpful in the face of the tide of ignorance and stupidity that we live in. I mean, listen to the band. My copy is Cat Destroyed. This is something I inherited from a friend of mine who died of cancer in 2000, but his cats destroyed a bunch of his records. But we listened to all of this last night, you know, and this is the sort of music, this Americana stuff. I enjoyed this with other people. I'm really, really tired of, even I have been saying this for years, but it's really true. A lot of people hear this and they feel comfortable and down home, and we know where everything is. I usually hear this music and I want to leave the room and find something different. I enjoyed listening to it with Orenda last night. Also listened to some Mark Allman. The beginning of the album is what I like. There's a flute passage that's beautiful, and then the majority of the album is just too bluesy and repetitive for me. But this one I've kept because when I first heard the flute passage on FM radio as a teenager, I didn't know what it was, and it captivated me, and for a long time I didn't know what it was. And when I found out it was Mark Allman, it was like, well, I gotta know about these guys. And they've done some good music, but a lot of the records have these jams that go on way too long, that just repeat. Kind of sucks. That's my word today. If it's no good, it sucks. Pull this, because I hadn't listened to Arthur Blythe in a while. And I enjoyed most of this. Again, I'm really not into the blues, so the blues bores me. So I had to listen to a little bit of the blues changes, and then I had to skip it because I don't want to listen to the blues. Arthur Blythe was a great player, so and obviously had played with good people. So once I got to the tracks that I really liked that weren't too bluesy, I can't see the titles here right now. Really enjoyed this. Arthur Blythe, Elaborations. Yesterday I played a bunch of this. Bowie, Aladdin Sane. What a strong Bowie album. This is not a reissue or some kind of special reissue. If anything, this is probably a early issue of the album on Dynaflex, on RCA Dynaflex with the orange. You know this has been reissued a million times. I love David Bowie. Love it even more now than when he was alive. Great album. This doesn't have a cover. I don't have the cover, but I have the record. So I was playing some Tower of Power in the slot. Not sure how I ended up with this, probably from my brother or somebody. But you can't deny Tower of Power. You know what I'm saying. Those guys were funky. Matter of fact, Ronnie or Donnie Beck, one of the Beck brothers from Omaha, was the drummer of Tower of Power for a while. Great band. This is a really sad album, but boy, what a fantastic work of art. The Raven That Refused to Sing in Other Stories. I played this all the way through in the last couple days. Stephen Wilson, formerly of Porcupine Tree. Yes, this is a very sad, moody album, but it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Here's one I pulled out of my for sale pile and have played this twice all the way through in the last few days. Raspberries. This is one of those albums that I put in the for sale pile because I have so many records. I'm just saying, oh, you know, I can live without it, but no one's probably going to buy it. And boy, what a great pop album. Every song on this album kicks butt. Raspberries. Listen to this again. I don't know if Tom Bazzini will see this or not, but I've been listening to Forbidden Music again. This is really good. There's just 2 tracks on here where probably has to do with something that they needed to express, but it's like I skipped them. It's like it's going along good, and then there's this like one in particular, I can't call the name, but it's like, man, this one is really interrupts the flow. But overall, this is really, really good. Really good. For forbidden music, it's a very interesting hybrid. You know, there's some electronic parts, and then there's this weird darkness about it too. I really like this a lot. Enslaved, the black metal Viking kind of band, In Times. This was given to me by Eddie Perez. It's taken me a few years for it to finally come into focus. I love this album. Building with Fire, the second track on here, is a repeater. I've just been playing it over and over again. I don't quite catch what they're singing about. I really don't care. You know, as fucked up as life is, as weird as man is, along with how wonderful we have the potential of, I don't care about what people are saying. They say the dumbest shit. Just let me hear your music. And that's where I'm at with art. People say any damn thing. Like the news, all they do is go on about politics. It's like the people who own the media won't let us hear about anything except politics. It's abusive to me. We're being traumatized. There's other things going on in the world, but all we get is the Trump show. I think it sucks. Here's another one that I was going to sell, War Child. I don't know why. This is a really good Jethro Tull album. Who knows? Who knows why? Someone sent this to me from the VC. The Sgt. Pepper's version where they have the outtakes album, which I listened to that finally all the way through. It was a delight. It was delightful to hear the rough and working versions of these songs as the Beatles put it together. Really, really cool. Real cool. Jacques Brel, French thinker, musician, activist. Anti-Gravity. This is amazing. Hard to describe. Very, oh man, it's like listening to a really detailed painting. A lot of this is not really musical. It's sound. This is fantastic. Jacques Brel, Anti-Gravity. Hadn't played this since I bought the reissue of it a few years ago. Fantastic. Tonto's Expanding Headband has come up because Roger Simon's son, who is a friend and a VC member from Lincoln, who I ran into recently at the Chrome show, was showing where he had found a copy of this, but the original, It's About Time, by Tonto's Expanding Headband. And this is a reissue of it. The guys who turned Stevie Wonder onto using the Moog synthesizer, and synthesizers in general. Good stuff. And their second album, It's About Time. This is sitting out, but I haven't played it. But it's sitting out. English folk that feels like friends. I love this music. I find this music heartwarming, much more than, say, like an old blues song or some kind of R&B love song. I'm saying this because I'm just telling you about who I am, you know. I'm a human being. Dando Shaft from England, English folk rock. Love this album. It's a favorite, a long-time favorite. That's why it's ring-worn. I've had it since the 70s, and I play it to death. Last thing I'll show is some more Steven Wilson, Bass Communion number 2. This is the white vinyl version. Steven Wilson is a genius. Yeah, Steven Wilson is a genius. He is. Hey, listen, folks, I haven't mentioned my music in a while, and I haven't had any sales, and I could use them. I was talking to Ren about that yesterday. She just come back from being on tour and got a part-time job. I don't work a part-time job. I'm trying not to. These are still for sale, and they're damn good. Sound Waves and The Door, Virgo. Pick them up, folks. I'll talk to you soon.